What's going on, YouTube? I am HOTMESS MUA, otherwise known as Vanessa. Today is another video in the Transition to Color series, and it's actually very easy. A lot of people, we really enjoy watching their YouTube channels because they're creative and they use all kinds of colors. And we can watch those tutorials all day long. It doesn't mean that we're quite ready to dive into that. It's like you could follow along, but you're like, I'm not ready. I'm just not ready. So today's look is something very easy, very limited amount of products that you need to create a colorful look that is more so muted, easier to transition to. So I am going to be using essentially 3 shades, and my color, my pop of color is going to be my lid shade. I am going all matte. And that's something that you can do when you're playing into the realm of color. You could do a completely neutral look, and then your lid space, whether it be shiny color or bright color, or in this case, I'm going to be using a matte pastel color. So any which way that you work it, it's very easy to transition into color slowly. Originally, we talked about, using the lower lash line as that first starting point. And now we're going to go onto the lid. So we're going to create a very easy, colorful, but transitional look today. So starting out with the eyeballs, I put my black liner on first. I did my upper waterline already, and then I used my eye primer. I don't usually use eye primer. I told you guys that. But I am now using the Blink eyeshadow primer that was suggested by Pensmith Skincare, because it's supposed to have a lot of good stuff in it for you and help with dryness and over time, wrinkling and all that kind of stuff that I now have to deal with. So far, I love it, and anytime I put eyeshadow on, I'm using it. My one key thing into using it, make sure you blend it really well, because I have only put it up to like right here, and then there's a weird patch. So if you're gonna use it all the way up, make sure you blend it all the way up. So I am going to start with a shade for all over the eye. This is Looksy Beauty. I believe this is Perfect. Yeah, this is Looksy Beauty's Perfect, and it's pretty close to my skin tone. This isn't always a step you have to do, but I find when I use a primer, I like to do it, but again, not a have to. Of course, this works for my skin tone. If you are darker in complexion, this wouldn't be your perfect color, but for my skin tone, it is. This is like literally my eye skin shade. The skin on my eye shade. So I'm just taking Perfect all over because I used a primer. Now I'm gonna use a lighter shade, and this is called Buttercup, and it is very yellow base. But I'm gonna use that essentially where I'll have a transition, but this will just brighten up that area. So where I had put, Perfect all over the place, this is going to brighten up the socket area, so that way I'm not looking too dingy. Too dingy. Okay, so I am ready to go into the next shade, which is really the only shade that I need. Okay, I have a Wayne Goss 18. This is very similar to a MAC 217 or a Morphe E388. It's that same kind of shape. It's like a universal kind of shape. And I am going to pick a very neutral color. Not too warm, not too cool. At least I'm gonna try. I'm gonna hit Caramel and Dirty together, because together that'll be nice neutral base. And I'm gonna start carving out just like you see every damn beauty guru do. And I'm just working that in the crease in the classic windshield wiper motion, but I'm also buffing in little mini circles. So I'm creating the hollow of my eyelid, so I'll have some shape for where I put in my colorful little pop. So I put all the color down, and then you want to work on slowly going up, tilting your brush and diffusing the shade outward. So that way I'm not just stark, there's my crease. Blending it upward and out. And then if I add any more color to it, I start again in the crease and go upward and out. A little more definition, I'll do the same thing. I'm gonna pick up caramel and a little bit of dirty, caramel, dirty, same thing. Start in the actual socket part that I want. I don't go straight into the socket. I tilt the brush upward because that's how my eye shape works. See, if I close my eye, it's lower, but when my eye is open, you know, I'll miss that. So that's kind of the important thing. Where's your eye when it's open versus obviously looking down? If I look down, like, it'd be different. So I kind of go into where the socket is open. I'm tilting the brush again at the angle, putting the color in. After I've got that strong base of where the color is, then I start going upward into the skin and the blend. Now, if you want to be really adventurous, this crease shade could have been a color that's darker than, you know, the pastel that I'm going to use on the eye. But if you're truly transitioning into color, starting with a neutral will feel more comfortable because that's something that you're used to before you add the color. So there we go. So now I got to do the other side. I would have gone in just with this color right here, Easy on the Eyes, because that's kind of a combo of two, but I think this is limited edition color. So I didn't want to give you a color. Of course, you can find any neutral mid-tone brown or mid-tone your skin color, but I want to give you options that are available. Like, I want to use products that you could go out and find right now instead of finding dupes. Does that make sense? And I'm going to go in again and just deepen that up a little bit more, carving directly into the socket. A little less of a blend and more of a drag. Pick up a little bit of just dirty and just hit the edge. And I'm kind of rolling that.
Like a little swishies.
And then we'll go back into Perfect. I don't want to hit any more of the yellow. Just want a little Perfect. And I'm just brushing here. So I feel like I've created a nice little shadow here. Usually I'll hit out the outer V and all that. Today, it's not what I'm about. I want to make this an easy transition to color. So I'm going to use this teal shade right here, Creep It Real. Any of these shades you could use, but I wanted to play with the teal shade. And you could cut the crease if you wanted to get real fancy, but I'm just trying to keep this simple, nice, and easy. But if you were going to cut the crease, you just take a little concealer, cut out the line that you did, and top the shade on top. It helps when a shade isn't super pigmented and it needs that extra oomph. These are really pigmented. So I'm gonna go really soft and dab that on like I did, because I kind of want to keep that crease work, right? And I haven't gone back into the palette yet. This is just what's left on the brush. And then I'm just gonna go over and hit anywhere else that maybe looks a little patchy or needs some work. Open the eyeball, see if there's anywhere that, you know, needs color. And it's like so simple, yet fun and pretty and soft. And I know lots of people like to do wings all the time. They'll spend all this time working on the outer V, and I don't. And there's a couple reasons for that. I feel like I don't have a lot of space here anyway. If I spent 30 minutes just blending the hell out of this and giving myself this gradient, and then I cut it off with a wing because of my specific eye shape, I feel like it's space kind of ruined. Now, when I do a look like this, where I don't do a lot in the outer V, I'm totally okay with adding a wing. You could do a colored wing, something on the color wheel that's different, or something that's even a little bit in the same tonnage family. It's really up to you. You could do a glitter wing. but obviously the easiest choice would be a black wing. Keep the eye open, see that I've covered all my surface area that you can see when my eye is open. See, you could even get real funky with it, and you could do the wing outward with the same color, like negative space, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just packing this on so that way I'm, you know, keeping true to the pigment, but you really don't need much with, you know, this particular palette. But if you were using pastels that weren't strobe cosmetics, you could always do it on a white base. I don't feel like these need a white base. And I'm just gonna take that brush and just make sure that I carve downward so that way the blend's still there. And that is pretty dang easy. Literally like 3 eyeshadows, and you could have done it with 2. I was just being a little extra. So I am going to add a wing, and I will be right back. Okay guys, so my wing got a little crazy. It got crazy, it happens. So I just went over it with the blue, not directly on, but I just took, you know, the teal. I just went over the teal wherever I got a little too much black, and then when I was doing the wing, when it got a little crazy, I just pulled out my good old water and just took a brush and kind of cleaned up the edges, but I'm not too worried about it because this is not a wing tutorial. This is all about transition to color, right? I'm gonna pop on some lashes and then we'll talk a little bit about the lower lash line. This is a really stiff lash, and I think it works with a drastic wing that may not be perfect. So I popped that on, and you could just be like this, but I think I want a little bit more. So I'm gonna take the shade Prance from Colourpop and do my waterline, which has already got all kinds of transfer. And that shade will open up the eyes, but I don't want to leave it just blue. So I'm going to take the other shades that we used in the transition to the lower lash line. Dirty first, just straight dirty. And I'm going to take it a little bit lower. I'll just take my workhorse brush and kind of blend it. I want it more diffused, kind of smoky, but not too much. And then I'll grab some of Caramel and Dirty and really work on connecting. Super close to the lash line, almost, you know, annoying. Caramel. Here. And now I'm going to take a little mascara to the lower lash line just so that way I don't look like I have a bunch of color and nothing else.
It's like instinctual to open your mouth.
And if you felt like your inner corner was missing something, you could take Perfect, you could put a shimmer. I don't really feel like any of that's necessary, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of Perfect, a little bit of the yellow Buttercup back to Perfect, and just brighten up a little bit. And that is it, guys. That is the transition into color. Granted, I took a lot longer in the tutorial because I was breaking down steps, but literally you blend out a decent crease and you pop a shade on the lid. You don't have to go with a crazy wing. You could just do some liner and lashes, and it is that first step. You get used to seeing the color, kind of embrace it, and then you take it further and further every time to what you're comfortable with. And I love this. I love this. It's another excuse to use this bad boy. If you haven't seen the review and demo and swatches and all that of the Strobe Creepy Cute, I'll leave that up in the cards because I love this palette. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Transition into Color. And let me know, what other places in color do you want to go? What other thoughts do you have with it? Questions, ideas, anything like that, leave them down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.